Give you the update on Patti LuPone. She apologizes now after disrespecting Black actors, and that's an understatement. We're gonna give you the update, but first let's recap what she did.
Hi, my name is Kecia Lewis, and I am an actress currently performing in Hell's Kitchen on Broadway. This is an open letter to Miss Patti LuPone. Miss LuPone, I understand that there have been a couple of situations that have gone on in the last few weeks that I want to address. The first one is that you contacted our theater owner about changing a couple of our sound cues because you found them to be too loud. You also, after our sound design was adjusted, sent flowers to our sound and stage management team, thanking them. Another thing that I'm aware of is that you dismissed publicly signing a fan's Hell's Kitchen playbill because
I'm not signing a Hell's Kitchen. They're too loud.
I wanted to address this because, Ms. LuPone, these actions, in my opinion, are bullying. They're offensive. They're racially microaggressive. They're rude. They're rooted in privilege. And these actions also lack a sense of community and leadership for someone as yourself who has been in the business as long as you have. Referring to a predominantly Black Broadway show as loud can unintentionally reinforce harmful stereotypes. And it also feels dismissive of the artistry and the voices that are being celebrated on stage. While gestures like sending thank you flowers may appear courteous, it was dismissive and out of touch, especially following a formal complaint that you made that resulted in the changes that impacted our entire production. Primarily, the people who have to go out on stage and perform the work were impacted. This kind of gesture can unintentionally downplay the challenges caused and sidestep the meaningful dialogue needed to address it fully. I consider these actions bullying. It can be considered bullying, especially if it involves exerting power or influence in a way that negatively impacts another production. Ms. LuPone, I respectfully submit to you that you owe us an apology.
Bravo. If I was in the theater, I'd give Kecia Lewis a standing ovation. And we got to dissect that for a moment. She gave a brilliant blueprint on how to back down a Karen like Miss LuPone. The tone, it was like my first grade teacher. I loved my first grade teacher very much. Respectful, decent, broke it all the way down. The translation was, you nasty, stinking, dirty Karen, go sit down somewhere. Okay, that's what I'm thinking that she had in her mind. But what came out was poetry. It was beautiful. Anybody could understand what she was saying, Miss LuPone. So let's give you the details, the update, if you will. After being called out by Kecia Lewis, Patti LuPone sat down with the New Yorker. She's going to do an interview. She's going to apologize there? Oh, no. She bashed fellow Broadway veterans Audra McDonald and Kecia Lewis in response. A fool. Oh, my God, LuPone said, balking when I brought up the incident. That's the reporter who brought it up. Here's the problem. She calls herself a veteran. Let's find out how many Broadway shows Kecia Lewis has done, because she doesn't know what the F she's talking about. She Googled. She's done 7. I've done 31. Don't call yourself a vet, bitch. The correct numbers are actually 10 and 28, but who's counting? She explained of the noise problem. This is not unusual on Broadway. This happens all the time when walls are shared. And the New Yorker with the report. The interviewer mentioned Audra McDonald, the Tony decorated Broadway star, had given the video supportive emojis. Exactly, LuPone said. And I thought, you should know better. That's typical of Audra. She's not a friend, hard D. The two singers had some long ago riff, LuPone said, but she didn't want to elaborate. Karens never do. I added that. When I asked what she had thought of McDonald's current production of Gypsy, she stared at me in silence for 15 seconds. Do you know how long 15 seconds is, folks? Just start counting in your head. Then she turned to the window and sighed. Ah, what a beautiful day. I mean, this woman is a real one, a real something. Okay. LuPone faced backlash online. She was called out about by actors rather, all week. And that culminated in over 500 artists from the theater community and beyond signing an open letter urging the organizers of the Tony Awards to ban LuPone from the Tony Awards. I love this. It didn't say 500 Black actors. They said this community said, no ma'am, no ma'am. Same day of that open letter, as it was published, LuPone finally apologized. For as long as I have worked in the theater, I've spoken my mind and never apologized. That is changing today. She began in her post. I regret my flippant and emotional responses during this interview, which were inappropriate. And I am devastated that my behavior has offended others and has run counter to what we hold dear in this community. She added how she hopes to have the chance to speak to Audra and Kecia personally to offer my sincere apologies. The Gypsy star also wrote how deeply sorry she was for using demeaning and disrespectful words, particularly toward Lewis. She also addressed the open letter, one that circulated on social media and was sent to various news organizations, organized by a group called Theater for Change, demanding accountability, justice, and respect. LuPone admitted how she wholeheartedly agreed with everything that was written in the open letter shared yesterday. So now you acting like the activists when they're activating against you, Patti. Very clever, very manipulative of you. Now you're with them, but they're protesting against you. Got it, okay. From middle school drama clubs to professional stages, theater has always been about lifting each other up and welcoming those who feel they don't belong anywhere else. I made a mistake. I take full responsibility for it, and I am committed to making this right. Our entire theater community deserves better. Okay. So again, if you didn't know the whole backstory, you'd be confused. You would think that Patti LuPone was speaking out for what's right instead of the perpetrator in this incident. Responses to that online apology. Folks took to X and TikTok to voice their disdain for the actress' unacceptable behavior. The apology just reeks of PR interference, one person wrote. Second person said, F her, she's not sorry. She just felt the backlash. Third person wrote, too little too late. This will be her legacy. As a fourth TikToker described how it didn't take her long to realize she ain't as big as she thought. Well, this is true. Look, when people say they're sorry, I don't know what's in their mind and heart. And I struggle with not accepting it. But I think these comments are fair. Okay? Patti LuPone didn't seem to come to her Jesus moment, if you will, until that online letter with 500, okay? Again, not Black, all, okay? Actors from different genres, different roots, who said, we don't agree with you, and we don't even like what you're doing here. And by the way, we don't want to be in your presence. So is that, as she labeled it, a mistake? I don't know, because I tend to think mistakes are something other than willful misconduct. She did what she did. You saw her in that video where a fan asked her to sign something and she's flippant there. So this is over the course of time. Still an instant mistake. And then she doubles down in the New Yorker article where the reporter clocked her tea just by inviting her, knowing that he was going to have a great story and she was going to show her you know what. So she deserves to be smacked around by her peers. And we get it. Patti LuPone, the real you, does think that Black women are too loud, even when we whisper. And maybe that means the talent's too big for you. Maybe that's your insecurity. Maybe you don't have a superpower. Maybe you're looking at someone like Audra McDonald in awe as she does material you once did. And you are really, really threatened by that. And so, yeah, to you, she is too loud, isn't she? But get used to it. She's not going anywhere. She's going to continue to sell out the theater and be celebrated and get awards. You have 28 shows, I think the article said. Cool. Keep acting like this, and some folks are gonna catch up real quick, real quick.